How is this for strategic messaging? We've got a big news break here on India Today to kick off proceedings here on 5 Line. Amidst the very important G20 handshake between the foreign ministers of India and China, the Indian Army has just put out pictures flaunting a very strong quote-unquote pitch at the Galwan area of Ladakh, where the two countries' armies clashed violently in June 2020. Well, a day after, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar shook hands with his Chinese counterpart Qin Gang in Delhi on the sidelines of the G20. The Indian Army has just put out these photographs of army soldiers playing cricket in the high-altitude Galwan sector of eastern Ladakh. This place, remember, had been a notorious flashpoint between the two countries since that violent episode in June 2020. Now remember, these pictures were put out earlier today by the Indian Army and its Leh Corps, but nowhere was it mentioned that this was actually the Galwan sector. It has taken India Today's experts, Ankit Kumar and Abhishek Bhalla, to decode the significance of these pictures put out by the Indian Army. And now we can confirm to you, viewer, that that image of Indian Army Jawans playing cricket happens to be just 4 kilometers from the site where the clash took place. That's right. This is strategic messaging of another level altogether. This is India and the Indian Army, while the Chinese foreign minister is on Indian soil, sending out a very clear message that India is in control of those frontier areas, no matter what propaganda China chooses to put out. So these pictures showing the Indian Army's Jawans playing cricket just 4 kilometers from the site where the Galwan clash took place, very much in the Galwan sector, high altitude area where it's difficult to breathe. But these Jawans are actually strenuously playing a sport, sends out a different kind of message altogether. Remember, yesterday, after meeting his Chinese counterpart, Qin Gang, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar termed India-China relations abnormal. Now, I can tell you, after years of covering India-China relations, images of the kind that have just been put out by the Indian Army while the Chinese Foreign Minister is on Indian soil is most certainly no coincidence. I'm going to go to this story in just a moment. First, listen to what Dr. Jaishankar said yesterday.
I met Minister Qin Gang on the sidelines of the conference this afternoon. It's our first meeting after he took over as foreign minister. So we spent, I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes talking to each other. There are real problems in that relationship that need to be looked at, that need to be discussed very openly and candidly between us. That's what we sought to do today. We also had a brief discussion on what was happening in the G20 framework, but the thrust of the meeting was really on our bilateral relationship and the challenges in the bilateral relationship, especially that of peace and tranquility in the border areas.
Okay, so just take a very close look at these pictures that the Indian Army put out. I'll just once again tell you, the Indian Army put out 4 images of Jawans playing cricket in some obscure part of Ladakh. The Indian Army has not labeled the location. They have not said where it's being played. It took India Today's resident experts in satellite mapping and geo-locating to tell you what the significance of these images is. And I want to introduce to you Ankit Kumar, our resident expert in all things imagery, who actually decoded the fact that these are Galwan images. Beg your pardon. Also with us is our National Bureau Chief, Abhishek Bhalla, with us. Ankit, quickly coming to you first. You know, incredible how in minutes you've been able to, tell our viewers, Ankit, that these images, which could have been anywhere in Ladakh, happen to be just 4 kilometers from the site of the Galwan clash.
Well, Shiv, pictures speak 1,000 words, and in this case, the language definitely is Mandarin. Remember, the timing is all that matters. Last year in January, China unfurled their national flag very close to the clash site. This time, when the Chinese foreign minister is in New Delhi, these pictures definitely send a very strong message. What we have done here is we have matched the geographical properties, the terrain, etc., that we can see in the picture that was released by the Indian Army. Indian Army has not clearly mentioned where these pictures were taken from. They have mentioned the division and the brigade. We know that division and the brigade, the area in which they operate. We have also, you know, for past 3 years, we have been seeing a lot of satellite imagery that is coming out of Galwan. So that helps. What we can say is that based on available data that we have, the 100% matching terrain, we can say with 100% surety that these pictures are approximately 4 kilometers away from the June 2020 clash site of the Galwan Valley.
Incredible. And I have absolutely no doubts about your abilities in precisely locating where this is. If Ankit Kumar says this is 4 kilometers from the clash site, then 4 kilometers it is. Abhishek, bringing you in on this, you know, this is no coincidence. You know, let's call a spade a spade. It's not like the army has done this randomly. Everyone knows that the Chinese foreign minister is right here in India's national capital at the G20. That big handshake with him and Dr. Jaishankar happened yesterday. This is the Indian system basically showing that we are no less than China when it comes to strategic messaging. We can play mind games at all as well. And this is actually the Indian army playing to its strengths.
Well, Shiv, first of all, hats off to Ankit. Within an hour of the army putting out this tweet, he was able to completely decode and give the exact location. And we were very quickly onto the story, trying to put it together. So, you know, he's really good at it. And what you rightly said, that the kind of mind games that the Indian Army is playing, frankly, Shiv, this is something where we've had some catching up to do. But now that we've learned how to do it, we're doing it pretty well because the Chinese had mastered the art of propaganda. This, of course, is not propaganda. This is smart mind games.
Yeah, this is messaging.
Very strong messaging. The Indian Army is there. Nowhere have they said what the exact location is. That's something that Ankit could find out.
Yeah.
And we would like to clarify that the Indian Army is nowhere near the buffer zone.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the clash point, because as per agreements, there was a pullback. Both sides pulled back by 700 meters from the exact clash point. That's where the first camp is. The second camp is another 700 meters behind. And there's another camp, another 700 meters behind. So that's more than 2 kilometers. So this is even behind 2 kilometers. It's 4 kilometers.
Yeah.
But sources have always maintained something, that it's very important to keep a watch on the clash point area. So lots of new surveillance techniques are being used to make sure that the Chinese do not come back again. There were reports that they want to have an observation post somewhere near the clash point once again, but because the Indian Army is monitoring the situation, that has not been made possible.